Hi kids, today we're going to be talking about ordering numbers. And as you can see, we have three numbers at the top of the paper. And in order to put these numbers in the correct order, there are two simple rules to follow. So I want you to write these two rules down. Rule number one is line up the numbers by the ones place. Line up the numbers by the ones place. So we're going to get those numbers lined up first. So we're going to be stacking our numbers and lining them up. The next thing that you have to do, the next rule you have to follow, is you have to compare the digits starting with the greatest placed value position. So for rule number 2, which I want you to copy on your paper, compare numbers starting with the greatest, and this is very important when we say greatest place value position. So I'm going to give you just a second to finish writing these two rules down, and when you finish, I want you to read them over again. All right, now that we have those two numbers down, we're going to work on following those two rules to order these numbers, and we're going to order them from greatest to least. So it's always important that you understand if somebody says least to greatest, because in this case, we're going to order them from greatest to least. Okay, so we're going to stack them up first. We have 3,543. So we're going to line them up by the ones place. That means we're going to stack them. 2,497. Always make sure the ones place is lined up. Then 3,602. So that is step one, stacking our numbers, getting them lined up in the right position. Next, it says to compare the numbers using or starting with the greatest place value. So in this case, we have ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands. The greatest of all of those place values is the thousands column. So this is where we have to begin. So if we're looking for the greatest or biggest number, we know we have two possible choices. We have 3,602, because that's a 3, and we have another 3. 2 is obviously smaller than those, so we know right away if we're ordering them, the number that is least is going to be the 2,497. We know that right away. So we quickly found that answer. But now we have to take a look. We know we're done with that one. We have to take a look at what's left. So looking at what is left, our next digit, since these are both the same, we have to go another digit over. In this case, in the hundreds column, we have a 5, and then we have a 6. Well, which digit is greater between 5 and 6? 6 is the greater digit. So we know that this 3,602 is the greater number. So if we're putting them in order from greatest to least, our greatest is going to be, let me move this up here, 3,602. 602. Our middle number is 3,543. And then our number that is the least, 2,497. All right, we're going to work through one more of these together. And this time, we are going to be lining up the numbers in order from least to greatest. Least to greatest, but we're still going to be following the same rules. Okay? I would like you to write these numbers with me on your board as we go along. We're going to have, let's see, 456,504. We're going to have, and we're going to just stack these from the start. We're going to do number one right from the start and stack them. 493,000, is going to be our next number. After that, we're going to have 456,700 for our next number. So copy those three numbers down. Again, this is step one. We've already stacked them with our numbers lining up in the ones column. Now we have to go to step two. Let's review. Step two, compare the numbers starting with the greatest place value position. So let's bring it back to our list. Greatest place value position. In this case, we're all the way at the 100,000s. When we get to the 100,000s column, we have a 4, a 4, and a 4. Well, these are all the same, so we're not going to be using any of those. Now we have the next column. We have a 9 and 2 5s. Well, if we are lining these up, like I said, which was from least to greatest, we know right now that 9 is the biggest number. So we know that 493,000 is going to be our largest number. It's going to go at the end. It's our largest. 493,000. Okay? But now we still have two numbers left, and we have to figure out which is which. So it says move over one column at a time. So we're going to move over to the 10,000s column, and we can see that we have a 5 and a 5. Well, they're the same. That does not help us out. So we're not worried about those. We have to move over again. In the next column, you can see that you have a 6 and a 6. That still doesn't help us because they're still the same. So move over again. And what do we see? We see that we have a 7 and a 5 in the hundreds column. Which number is greater? The 7 is greater than the 5. So the least, I'll put an L here for the least, the smallest number is 456,504. So we're going to record that. 456,504, followed by the middle number, which is 456,700. Then the greatest number, 493,000. So notice we have a lot of things crossed out and lines through things. Notice how I like to put a line through something instead of crossing it out completely. If you were to scratch something out and then you wanted to go back and know what number that was, that would make life really difficult. So using just a one line to strike through a number you're not using is oftentimes a really good idea, so that when you go back, you don't have that problem of wondering what it is. So again, remember 2, stack your numbers, lining up by the ones place. I like to call that stacking your numbers. Then compare the numbers starting with the greatest place value, and that is an easy way to order your numbers.